Hi everyone, the ACS exam in December opened with a new and different registration process to avoid technical issues. That's what we're going to talk about in this video, so let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back. If you go to the NDEB website, you'll see that the news has been released October 8th about the ACS registration. It's an ACS update. You also see it on Facebook. And then in your profile, you could see what the news is, either or maybe in the email. So let's go through that. Okay, I have it here in a file, and let's just go through it and highlight the important parts. So it basically states that the ACS in December, they have limited seats, and the limited seats is actually 75 seats. So they know how many seats they got. They got 75 seats remaining. Okay, 75. Oh, I gotta pick the pen here. 75 seats. Okay, remaining for the ACS exam across all the 7 centers. All right, so at least we know something there. Earlier this week, we experienced significant issues. So here they're talking about how the problem that happened with the AFK registration on October 4, where they had the technical issues and the errors from the website because of the heavy traffic on the website, and it couldn't handle all the applicants, right? So for them to avoid this problem, this is what they're saying. For us to avoid the frustration of errors and technical issues, they have made a different or new process of how to register for this specific ACS exam. All right, so what is this new process, right? And I want to remind you here, if you have watched my AFK video where I talk about the AFK issue that happened on October 4 with the registration, but if you haven't, it might come out and you can see it. But I talk about how this is what the NDEB is doing. It's going to address the technical issues, right? And addressing the technical issues shouldn't be what our goal was, because it still doesn't solve the real problem, which is the limited number of seats. Now with ACS, I know it's more difficult for the NDEB to make seats, and again, let's go through the email first, and then I'll comment. So now, how are they going to do it? They're going to send applicants that are eligible for the ACS a survey. This can be done by completing the following survey by 9 a.m. Eastern Time on October 12, 2021. So is that the deadline? I mean, that's just in a few days, right? Anyway, so you send your survey saying, hey, I want to do this exam. I'm ready to do this. So there's no registration and payment right away anymore, so they avoid the technical issues. Okay, so to avoid that, they're saying all the people that want to do the ACS, just fill in this form. So you go and you fill in this survey right here, and only people that fill the survey, they will think that they will consider them wanting to do the exam. Okay, and the survey will contain all the locations and the seats available. So you have to choose the locations that you prefer, and only choose the ones that you're willing to travel to. Okay, because there's no takebacks here. There's no transfer. Oh, I got the one in Alberta. Sorry, can I move to UFT? No, they won't transfer you. So make sure you pick ones that you're willing to travel to. Then once they receive, so let's actually draw that out here. They have 70 seats left. They're going to give you a survey. And maybe let's just say 300 people apply to the survey, right? They go like, hey, we want to do ACS. Maybe it's 400 people. I don't know the numbers. Let's just say, I'm just going to put a random number. 300 people apply for a survey. And then the NDEB will take these people, these 300, put it through a software, right? Through a system that will randomly choose 75 people, 75 ID numbers. So there's probably going to be the remaining 225 or whatever remaining more would be, are not going to get into the exam. That's the new system they're going to use right now. Okay, so again, here it says all data will be entered into a system which will randomly select 75 NDEB ID numbers. Using the randomly generated order, examinees with these ID numbers will be registered in the exam. Okay, we'll do our best to accommodate your first choice. Good. If your first choice is full, you will be assigned to your second choice. This is kind of the next available. Okay, this is kind of obvious stuff now. It is imperative that if you complete the survey, you only select locations where you're willing to travel to, because no transfer request will be accommodated. Now, once the ID numbers are selected, those who are registered for the examination will be sent an email. So the 75 that got picked randomly to take the exam will be sent an email, and only these 75 will receive this follow-up email. Okay, and this email is basically the payment email to confirm. So the fee for the examination is still $9,000. Once paid, this fee is non-refundable. Whoa. All right. So so it's non-refundable. $9,000. That means this is your last chance to confirm your location and your seat, and you will have 48 hours to submit payment. So you got the email. Okay. So these 75 people, they're gonna get an email, and then after you get the email, you have 48 hours for payment. Okay. Let's take in some notes. All right. So from the time you receive the confirmation email, not from the time you're selected randomly, from the time you receive the email. If the fee has not been paid by the deadline, they're going to give you a deadline, the 48 hours, right? The seat will be offered to another person. So make sure you are paying that if you want to go. It is also important to note that proof, this is kind of interesting to note, that you need vaccination will be required at all ACS test centers. The content of this email can also be accessed from the information section in your NDEB profile. So also vaccination is required. Okay. So if you don't pay, you'll lose your seat. So that's pretty much it. Now, I have 2 comments about this, okay? Just to follow up on this email, that is what happened, the new registration or registration process that they're doing for the ACS, okay, in December 4/5, 2021. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is that they went to solve the technical issues. Okay, that's what happened. And I mentioned this, that I talked about an AFK video, and the issue here is it was never for the AFK registration. It was never really the technical issues. It was the number of seats, because I was saying that if the technical issues were not there, okay, and the seats were limited, wouldn't the results be the same almost? Just different people in the seats maybe? Yeah, because if only, let's say 50% could get into the exam, right? Then what's the difference between having technical issues and not having them? The only difference is that you'll find out faster that the seats are booked because the website is smooth. So you get in and you go, oh, everything is booked. Great. From the first minute, right? So what's the point? The complaints shouldn't have been about technical issues. I believe that we should have maybe requested, if they can accommodate for more seats, that would be great. And the NDEB said that if they do open up more seats, and there's hope for that they'll let the AFK people know on their in the account or on the website, right? Just like how they did with ACJ. They did open up a new block of seats for ACJ. And the NDEB also said that people do withdraw from AFK. So anyway, the whole concept, now this is what it led to. Why am I mentioning this here? This is what it led to. It led to that the NDEB is focusing on the technical issue, and for us all to avoid that, they created this randomly generated system. Maybe it's a little bit less frustrating because you feel at least you did your part, which is applying, like you are able to fill up the form and then the rest is random. So at least maybe you'll feel a little bit better. You'll know, right? It's not in your hands anymore. Whereas, if there are technical issues, you have to keep refreshing and you go like, is there anything I could have done to make it work? I don't know. And then that uncertainty maybe kind of is what makes people feel anxious and annoyed and frustrated, right? But at least this way, I guess, you get to apply, you get to do something, you're done your part, and then the randomness is in their hands now, not it's not something you've done wrong, right? So maybe there's that part. But again, the problem itself, the delay of people that are not getting to the exam is the same. So again, I state that it's not technical issues, it's more seats, right? Versus seats. The second thing I want to say is this is the last exam for ACS in 2021 before the new 2022 vision, where the ACS is going to be more frequent, right? And done in Ottawa, right? It's going to be done in Ottawa in their facility and going to be more frequent. Remember, they didn't mention what the frequency is. Is it every week? Is it every day? Is it every month? I don't know yet. But that means if you don't like this system right now that's happening in December, you're like, this is a problem. Because why are some students thinking this is a problem, right? So let's kind of go back and try to see why. Well, if you are notified, let's say December 4-5, okay? That's the exam, right? You have November and now it's October. So we don't know when you're actually notified about when you are getting to the exam. Is it right away? Is it within a week? So if you're notified somewhere here, okay, you're going to have now 2 months around there to do like a final, training before that exam, okay? So the complaints about this, why the system is not, people are not liking it or students may not like it, is because they don't know if they need to start practicing or not, okay? And they feel like they only have 2 months or even probably less or almost 2 months exactly of practicing. I think it's less actually because, it's already October, almost mid-October, right? We're almost getting close to that. So that's one of the flaws in this process. Now, remember, the NDEB's goal is to make sure their exams prove that the dentist going through that exam, if they pass, they're competent. That's their goal. Their goal is they have nothing to do with training. Their goal is not, oh, you need 6 months to practice. That's not their goal, right? So since we should know that is not their goal, I think it's our duty to be prepared for when the exam comes, right? Because if an exam comes in December, if you thought, if it comes in December, you should be or do your best to be ready if it does come. And there are things we could have done. I know that it's expensive to train and continue practicing and stuff like that, but I believe there are things students could have done to be ready. For example, if you've taken an initial full course, 5 months course of an ACS program, and you're kind of, trained a bit, what you could have done is maybe bought a home unit, continued to practice lightly throughout. I think a lot of people are doing this. Maybe every week practice a few projects, hire maybe a private tutor. We work with a private instructor that could kind of do a one-on-one with you, do a work check. Check out our website, you can see that. But basically work with someone that could come and do maybe a work check once every 2 weeks, like 2 hours a month, right? That way, if you're not getting better, at least you're maintaining your skills that you have learned and you haven't forgotten your skills, right? Then when something like this happens, you're ready to kind of maybe sharpen everything back up in the last 2 months. That's what I think if someone is putting everything all into it to make this work. Now, that's just some thoughts I'm thinking that the method, the mentality or the mindset that some students are taking where I want to get into the exam first, then start preparing, is not working anymore because of the uncertainty. Yes, it's unfair maybe, or it's not ideal. But if that is the situation, it makes it that the plan is not good anymore to do that. Because when an AFK student is making sure they register for the exam before they think of studying or preparing or taking a course, they've already missed a month or two of a course, or maybe a month. If they're doing it for the ACS, you could see that if you haven't practiced, now you only have 2 months to practice. So I promote the concept of because the way the environment is with these exams right now, that is how it is right now. It might not change in a while. What can you do to make it work? What you could do is be ready when the exam opens for you. That's what I think. And yes, that may be financially expensive. You can't keep going to ACS, courses every month, like paying for. I get it. So you have to find a way. Maybe do one course, go back and practice at home, then do another course. Maybe do an AFK course, even if you're not sure you're going to get to the exam. Then skip the next one. And then if you get into it, you could go back and register again for the course. Like we offer a discount for a second repeat, for example, right? And review programs. So you find a way that works so that you are ready when the exam comes. Don't just throw the blame all on the NDEB that they should give me enough notice, right? Yeah, ideally they should, but if it's not happening, if that's what it is, what can you do to make it work? The third thing, I actually put 2 points, okay? Let's say I skipped this point completely. So let's say the third thing was this, talk I just had, which is be ready when the exam comes, okay? It's a little bit messy here on this board, okay? Be ready. The second point, let's say, is this is all too overwhelming. You don't have enough time to sharpen your skills until December. 2 months is not enough. This sucks. I don't like this. Okay, look, I think just don't do that exam, right? You could just do the one in Jan because the new Vision 2022 is coming and you're going to have be able to do frequent exam. Yes, we have new things coming up in that. We don't know what we're facing. But if this is something you feel like, you don't want to be, it's too short notice, then you could always do the exam in Jan or Feb that are coming up because there's going to be more frequency in 2022. However, the advantage of doing this exam is that you already know the system of this exam. That's maybe why some people are like, you know what? I think I'd rather do this December before what happens in Jan, because the one in Jan, I don't know what I'm facing. At least here I know there's enough history that we know of students have done it and how it worked out. So you have to think of those pros and cons and decide, right? But yes, you do have 2 months to train. If I were in that position and I knew there were a possibility of an exam opening in December, I would prepare myself to be ready for it. And then when it's announced, I will increase my training to sharpen my skills. And I think a lot of you are doing that. But if you completely let go of training and you're just thinking like when it opens and I register and I get in, then I'll train, I think you've already missed your training window, okay? But again, some of you may be amazing and can, learn everything in 2 months. But I think minimum is like 3 months if you're completely new to ACS. And if you've done a course and you practice, maybe sharpening will be less. Maybe you could do sharpening your skills in 1 or 2 months. Okay. I haven't organized all these thoughts. I kind of just threw them out there and hope that, something helped somebody. And I just analyzed pros and cons and what ifs and what should have done. And if you are stuck in this kind of situation, take some of this advice and use it for future exams. From now on, don't wait until you get into the exam and then start preparing, because you're always late when you do that and you end up being at a disadvantage. Prepare once for as if you are going to the exam. That's always going to be beneficial to you, whatever course it is, ACS, ACJ, AFK. Even for our ACJ program right now, we're telling students, come and take the course and you'll get a free repeat. Why? Because we don't want them to wait until they get into the exam to do the course. So we're like, just take it. And then if you don't get into the exam, fine. But at least you took it and then you'll just take the other one for free. But if you did get into the exam, at least you're almost ready. You're ready to go to the exam. Be ready for your exam, because now there is uncertainty. Okay? And complaining about that uncertainty, it may go away, it may not, right? So think of what can you do to make things happen. And the things you could do when there's this uncertainty of when the exam is coming and when you're going to get your seat is to be ready as much as you can and as best as your ability to be ready when that exam and that seat comes towards you and opens up, the opportunity comes to you, right? That's what I think. That's my way of thinking of this stuff. I hope I think I expressed everything I have about this. That's it. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. And if you have any ideas, you could comment below. If you don't like my ideas, you could also comment below. But, I'm just sharing my thoughts and, don't mean to be, too harsh with it. But this is what I'm thinking as a strategy. And maybe it's useful to some of you. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. I'll see you in the next one.